Hello fellow Earthlings, it's Libs, and today I'm going to be reading 3 books from around the world. So I have done a video concept like this before. I picked 3 different countries and read a book from each of them. So last time I think I did France, Japan and Afghanistan, I think. This time I'm going to be doing Korea, Colombia and Morocco. So I have a book picked out for each of these countries. Hopefully I'm going to have to maybe find a backup for Korea, because the book that I want to read for this video has such a long wait list at the library that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it in time. Sometimes those wait lists kind of mean nothing and sometimes they mean everything. I also have my T2 Melbourne breakfast tea, which is definitely too hot to drink, but I'm going to do it anyway. No, I'm not. That's really hot. I'm not going to do that. Okay, so the book for Korea that I would like to read is If I Had Your Face by Francis Cha. This is a book that explores the beauty standards in and around Seoul and kind of what that means for all the young women there, because I think it's got one of the highest rates of young people getting plastic surgery. So it's kind of an exploration of that. So I really want to read that book. Probably the most out of all the books that I'm thinking of reading for this video. So hopefully I can. If not, I'll just have to read it later. For Morocco, I will be reading The Country of Others by Leila Samani. She's the author of Lullaby, which was one of my favourite books of last year, and I read that for my reading thrillers video. So I really want to read more of her work, particularly this one. Leila Samani is a French-Moroccan author, so her books are written in French, but this one is very much in Morocco. I believe it's about this young woman after World War II who's French, and she marries a Moroccan man and moves to Morocco, and it's about her new life there. So I'm very, very keen to read about that. And the final book I will be reading for this video, or possibly the first book depending on how this goes, will be Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, translated by Edith Grossman. I don't think I've said the translators. The others, I'll do that at the end. This book I don't really know anything about at all, except kind of what the title tells you. I just know that this is a classic. This is the author who wrote 100 Years of Solitude, which is a book I will be reading later this year for another video, but I've just heard such great things about this author that I'm really, really excited to read some of his work. And I know there'll be cholera and I know there'll be romance. So what more could you want? Nice. Okay, let's crack on to the reading. I am officially 30% of the way into Love in the Time of Cholera. I'm actually really, really loving it. It's a book that I knew I wanted to read. I've heard such great things about the author, but I didn't necessarily know exactly what to expect. I didn't really know anything about the book going in, but it's just written so well. The guy doing the audiobook narration is fantastic. He's just doing such a really brilliant job at doing all the different voices and just getting me really invested. So I would recommend doing that if you don't have a physical copy of the book. But I'm having such a great time with it. I've got no real clue where it's going in any real way, but that's kind of been really fun. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen, if we're about to get a really intense love story or if everything's going to be really sad and depressing but still brilliant. Well, I am almost 80% of the way into Love in the Time of Cholera. It's really, really well written, and I'm definitely enjoying the audiobook. It's such a strange book to talk about, because kind of nothing happens. You just have this guy who going through all his love affairs because the woman he fell in love with when he was young married someone else, and he's so sure that one day they're going to be together, that her husband's going to die of natural causes. He doesn't want to kill the husband, but he believes the husband's going to die, and that he can turn up on this woman's doorstep and confess his undying love, and that she will choose him, and just kind of going through all his love affairs in like the lead up to it, I guess. I don't know. It's plays with time a bit. So it's a weird one to talk about. Okay, so I managed to finish both Love in the Time of Cholera and In the Country of Others. So I kind of ended up going on holiday, and now I'm back. I will include a few clips from the holiday, but I didn't really vlog any reading or anything, as I wanted to just enjoy myself. Hello fellow earthlings, it's Libs. Welcome to Queensland, and a situation where we can't figure out how to turn on the hire car. So that is a great start to what I assume is going to be a very messy holiday. Ended up really enjoying Love in the Time of Cholera. There were a few weird bits. It's definitely, you can tell it's an older book, which is a little and there's a whole grooming aspect that's in the latter half of the book. It doesn't take up much of the book, but it is there. It's uncomfortable. Didn't enjoy that very much or at all. Apart from that, I really liked the book. I thought it was very funny, very well written. I learnt a lot about Colombia that I wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah, I think I gave it 4.5 books. It lost a star because of the uncomfortableness. I didn't like how the book talked about Chinese people, and I didn't like the grooming. But I think if you're a fan of something like The Sea by Iris Murdoch, you'd probably really enjoy this book, or if you've already read this book and enjoyed it, you'd probably like The Sea. They kind of have similar-ish vibes and some similar themes, but they play out very, very differently. And then In the Country of Others is a book I thought I was going to love, and I kind of really didn't. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's about this French woman who marries a Moroccan man and goes to live in Morocco after the Second World War. And it kind of follows her family, the family she creates in Morocco. And that's kind of mostly it. It talks about the friction between the Moroccans and the French, and some of the culture shock, but it kind of jumps around with so many people that I never really felt like I got to know any of the characters in any real depth. And so I just didn't really end up liking it all that much. I know that the author does jump around a fair bit, because I read Lullaby last year, but I loved Lullaby, and I think because it focuses on one character, it worked a lot better than this one did. But I still kind of liked, 3.5 stars. I kind of liked it. There were some good things there, but it didn't do for me what I thought it was going to do. So, I'm not sure what book I'm reading next. I plan to do If I Had Your Face, but it's still got another 4 weeks wait at the library, and I thought maybe it wouldn't be as long as that. But at this stage, it's taking a long time. So I'm going to see if one of my other books I have on hold. I have a book by a Japanese-American author on hold, so I might read that instead if that comes in sooner. Or I could read another book from South America, but I kind of like to space out the countries a bit more. Or I could read maybe Perfume, which is by a German author. So I don't know what my plan is yet. I shall see when I get home. Okay, so I chose to read The Whole instead of If I Have Your Face, just because the waitlist was so long. Of course, I've now finished The Whole, and If I Have Your Face is now available. But anyway, The Whole is about this man who's been in an accident, who's been in a coma. He wakes up and he can't move any of his body, and the only family he has left is his mother-in-law, who is going to take care of him. But as time goes on, he stops really trusting his mother-in-law. His mother-in-law knows certain things about him that you probably wouldn't want your caregiver to know, and she starts firing the people who are supposed to be helping him and using his money to pay for everything without kind of asking him. And she starts digging this giant hole in the garden. I can't tell you anything more because that would be a spoiler. This book was pretty good. I gave it 3 stars. It's very short, so if you kind of want to try a more like a thriller from like another country, this is a good way to start. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Well, I have officially read another 3 books from around the world. This was perhaps not quite as successful as I wanted it to be. I think The Whole and The Country of Others were both 3-star reads for me. I think I initially gave The Country of Others 3.5 stars, but I read it recently and I've already forgotten it, so it's a 3-star. They're both definitely very interesting books, but I think The Whole was just a little bit too short to really fully explore the concept, and The Country of Others just jumped around too much. I couldn't really get invested in any of the characters because half the time they mattered and half the time they didn't. And then I did really enjoy Love in the Time of Cholera. I just have a few problems with some of the things that happen in the book and aren't critiqued. The grooming thing was very gross, very uncomfortable to read about. Could very much have done without that, but other than that, it's a fantastic book, and I would recommend reading it if it's not going to be too distressing for you. But it's a really well written book, and it's very funny, and it's very good. And that is about it for this video. I will be doing another round of reading books from around the world later on in the year, so let me know what books I should read for that down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.